Oh, hello. DaddyDWALLY here, and we are going to be doing something different for the channel. We're going to be talking about cars. And recently, I've had the opportunity to test drive a lot of vehicles. I'm finally in the market to potentially buy another fun to drive commuter enthusiast sports car. And I was lucky enough, I think this was just 2 days ago or maybe even yesterday, to test drive back to back a 2015 Ford Fiesta ST followed by a 2024 VB WRX. And I gotta say, right off the bat, it was so eye opening to me for so many reasons. But the thing that really stood out to me is that the WRX, the new VB WRX, just doesn't have a soul. And let me explain to you why. So, just a little background on me before I get a bunch of comments. Oh, you don't know what you're talking about. You don't, blah, 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 WRX, blah, blah, blah. Here's my history on cars. I grew up driving a bunch of Honda Civics, loved them through college. The first car I spent my money on was this bad boy right here. This was a 2009 Toyota Matrix 5-speed. And I think this was the only front wheel drive model. I didn't get all wheel drive. And that was my first sporty car that I drove. I believe I paid $15,000 for that. Then the next car I purchased, and this was a fun one, where I felt like, oh my gosh, I finally made it. Was a 2011 Civic Si. Man, look at that badass right there. Look at that cool guy right there. And I mean, look at this heads up display, or not, I guess it's not a heads up display. Just look at this dashboard right here. This is awesome. Look at this. I still love the way this looks. You got your speedometer right there, easily in view. You got your gas, your temperature gauge, your tack. Look at that red line. Oh my gosh, 8,000 RPM. Anyway, so I bought the 2000, I want to say 11 SI. I believe it was this. I paid $19,000 for it. Thought I was, cool, but something was missing. I felt I needed a little bit more power. I was able to get a 2014 blue new WRX Subaru hatchback, but it was right before the 15s launched. And so, like, right as I got it, I started to see all the improvements that the 15s had. And I was like, ooh, made a mistake. And was lucky enough to sell it to a guy who purchased it like immediately. I basically got my cash back. And so he really wanted a hatch. And so I moved on to a 15. This was my 2015 WRX base. I believe I paid I want to say around 25,000. That's crazy. Back in 2015 or 2014, this might have been for this WRX. And at this point, I finally understood the draw and the specialness of the WRX. I was like, wow, this thing, number one, fast. The WRX, I'd never had a car with this much horsepower, never had a vehicle with a turbo, never experienced all-wheel drive, blown away by this vehicle. So I was like, man, this is really cool. Then while I had this car, which I loved and enjoyed at the time, I actually paid this off, which was crazy. Paid it off really quick. I was living with my aunt and uncle at the time, and so I didn't really have rent, and so I paid this off relatively quick. Even after the initial excitement of this car, it just felt like something was missing. I never quite loved the engine. I appreciated the all-wheel drive, especially just the sense of confidence and I guess, yeah, that's the best way of saying it is I always felt like no matter what, I felt safe in the WRX. I felt like I could do more. I felt like it was completely capable in all weathers. Loved that part of it. But it just, something felt like it was missing. And this is a picture of when I got annihilated by a hailstorm. And this was like just months in, and I don't even know if I had owned it for a year at that point. And it got, oh my gosh, I think there's like $12,000 worth of hail damage. Anyway, got that fixed. At this point in my life, I was single. I had a secure job. I had no kids, no girlfriend, no responsibilities. And I was like, you know what? Something still feels like it's missing. I want something a little bit more. And I had the opportunity to trade this in, and you can go check out my personal YouTube videos or YouTube page. It's DaddyDWALLY, and I have a bunch of videos on this car. My next car was this bad boy. This is my 2017 Subaru WRX STI. I brought it brand new, and I believe I paid around 33, 34 out the door for this vehicle back in 2016. Yep, I bought it in the summer of 2016, and I believe this picture is probably in August. Look at this car. Gosh, what a great looking car. I initially wanted like black or gray, and then I saw this red one at the dealership and I was like, wow, just what an awesome car. Look at this thing, you guys. So the thing with the STI is it brought a sense of rawness and just pure performance feel that I felt the WRX, the last generation WRX was missing. And this car felt like a race car. This car felt like a performance vehicle. I didn't appreciate the turbo lag as much. I felt like the last WRX engine was, I don't know if it was better, but I felt like it delivered power a little bit better than the old EJ engines. But yeah, this is the car that made me feel like, wow, I'm finally driving a car that would be in Gran Turismo or Forza Motorsport, and I felt like I'd made it with my 17 STI, and I love this car. I had the tinted windows, I had winter tires on. I did a bunch of videos on this, and I loved everything about the STI. It was a great car. Engine, looking back on it, old, old, but everything else, the all-wheel drive system, the diffs, and the just like I said, the raw feeling of this older vehicle, I really loved and appreciated. And the only reason why I got rid of this car was because I met my wife, and I don't know. I just really love Allie, and she was driving a Honda Accord, and she'd gotten stuck in the snow a bunch, and I wanted to give her something where she would feel safe and comfortable in. So I ended up, I don't know, I was crazy at the time, you guys. I almost had this paid off, or maybe I did. I can't remember. No, I was close to it, and I traded this in for I took money that I had so much into this because I had put, like 20 something down on it from the WRX. And so I took half of that for put a down payment on a Toyota 4Runner, which we don't have anymore, but that's what Allie wanted. And then I took the other portion of that on, I spent on an engagement ring. We could talk about that another time. But yeah, this was my 2017 STI. So with that background in mind, I have driven and test drove a bunch of other cars before getting these. And right now I'm back in the market because right now I drive a Chrysler Pacifica. That is a minivan. We love our minivan, but I don't love driving it all the time. I'm over it. I've been driving it for the past 5 or 6 years. Oh, I forgot. I'm missing one more car in here. I had, let's see if I can just pull it up real quick. I had a 2015, there it is. 2015 Ford Fiesta ST. So we took Allie's Accord and I traded it in for this car. Love this car. I miss this car. And then I traded this for the minivan. So anyway, so there's my car history, and I'm probably gonna have to edit this to make it a lot quicker. But so now like I said, was lucky enough to, I'm back in the market. I'm back in the market I want a fun to drive car. Okay. I want it to be my commuter, and that's about it. This will be for me. No one else is going to drive this. Okay. And like I said, just yesterday, I was lucky enough to drive back to back a 24 WRX and a 15 Fiesta ST. And these were the two cars that I drove. So this is the ST. Exterior is rough. I mean, it doesn't look this bad when you look at it right here, but it's like this paint is just done. And it's got hail damage, whatever. But the reason why I wanted to drive this one, it's got the Recaros. My Fiesta didn't have the Recaro seats. So I drove this first. Mechanically was awesome. And here's immediately, actually, I'll go to the WRX. So after I drove this, I went into this vehicle. This is the 24 WRX Premium. This is the exact one that I drove. Great looking car. Interior, hands down, is probably one of the best things about the new WRXs. But besides the interior and the speed and all-wheel drive, which for some is all that matters, I had way more fun driving the Fiesta ST. And I was shocked at the difference. I was able to go on a good, 10-minute test drive. And again, I owned this car. I have not owned the WRX, but I've driven the new one like 3 or 4 times now at this point on good test drives. Like I said, the Fiesta ST is just more fun to drive. And I was shocked. The Fiesta ST doesn't feel fast. Even the other one that I test drove actually felt faster. This one just felt like it had been just sitting. Like clearly whoever owned this last, it had been sitting for a long time and had not been driven for a while. I don't know if you put premium gas in there and it warms up a little bit more. It felt a little slow, I would say. I don't know if slow is right, but it just didn't feel as quick as the other one that I test drove recently as well. But overall, with the Recaros, I was having way more fun in this Fiesta ST than I was in the new WRX. I was blown away by the Recaros. These were amazing seats. These actually made a difference, I think, in ride quality compared to the base model. Immediately, one of the other things that I appreciated about the Fiesta ST was the gearbox and stick felt better to shift in than the WRX. The clutch felt like a Honda clutch. It was light and easy to use. The only bad thing, which I did address in my Fiesta, was the pedal placement. I can't heel toe with the Fiesta ST. I had to have a spacer push the accelerator back, and then I could do it easily. The WRX does have great pedal placement, but the steering felt more responsive. I felt more agile and light and more nimble in the ST. And overall, I couldn't believe going to the WRX how much more fun to drive the Fist was. Going back to the WRX, what did I like about the WRX? It's fast. There's no doubt about it. I think the VBs do a much better job with power delivery. I do think it's leagues better than the 15 to, the VA WRX. The last gen WRX, I felt like that wasn't a very good engine in all honesty. And this one feels like the power delivery is linear. It feels great. The new WRX is much improved, but that 6,000 RPM red line sucks. And I thought that I would like that because, it means I get to shift more. It just feels like it's there too fast and you're not getting to rev the engine out. And not that the Fist is like that much better, because I think it's only like 6,700 if I'm not mistaken, somewhere in there. Here, let's see. So 63,400. But for some reason, it just feels better. I don't know how to explain it. But the Fiesta ST has better seats, better clutch, better gearbox, a better steering feel, felt more nimble, and most importantly, again, felt more fun to drive. The WRX, or sorry, that was the Fist. The WRX felt fast. I'll give it that. It's fast. All-wheel drive is nice. And the interior is modern and very, very nice for what you get. But other than that, I walked away wanting to buy the Fiesta ST. And I was considering a WRX, but after driving the Fiesta ST, I'm like, it just basically reaffirmed my feelings about the new WRX, is that if it's fast, the engine is much improved, all-wheel drive, fantastic. If you need all-wheel drive, just get a WRX. But if you're looking for something for pure fun to drive factors, the WRX isn't it. I felt nothing when I drove the WRX. I drove the Fiesta ST first, a used one with 60,000 miles, mind you. Like, what does this have? I think it's got 56,000 miles, and had clearly been, and this is a 15, and you can just tell by the exterior that it's just been sitting somewhere in somebody's outside in their front yard or something. It was still so much more fun to drive than the WRX. I was shocked, you guys. And that goes back to my main point. I felt nothing driving the new WRX. It, to me, feels more modern, more refined. Like everyone said, power delivery is there. It's a great car, but to me, it just feels soulless. And it was really eye-opening for me because I was really strongly considering buying one new. I had another AutoNation dealership say $35,200 out the door after taxes for a premium black. And I was like, maybe I should just get the WRX. Oh, and they're safe. You know, Subarus are always safe. But after driving it, after the Fiesta ST, I was like, I don't want to do that at all. And now the WRX is off my list completely. So am I going to get a Fiesta ST? I'm considering it, but I actually have also driven a car that is even more fun than the Fiesta ST and faster than the WRX. But we'll talk about that later. So closing out my final thoughts here. If you're considering a new WRX, please drive a bunch of other vehicles and drive them used and drive them at their limits and or close to their limits in fun to drive atmospheres, because it was really eye-opening for me to be able to drive this back to back. And please go drive a GTI, go drive a Fiesta ST, go drive a GR. I've driven a GR Corolla, a used one recently. Drive the new WRX, drive a Elantra N, drive, what else am I missing? All the cars that are kind of in that $30,000-$40,000 price range, go drive them. I mean, if you absolutely have to have all-wheel drive, you're kind of screwed. It's basically this or the GR Corolla. The GR Corolla is incredibly overpriced. I don't understand that. And to be honest, I have thoughts on that, and I'll share that in another video. But to me, just get the WRX because the GR is just ridiculously overpriced. But I will say, as far as fun to drive, the Fiesta ST has more character and is more fun to drive than the new VB WRX. And to me, it's like, it's not even close. Like, especially with the Recaros, I felt like I was driving a completely different car than my 15 WRX. Incredible seats. I know you can get Recaros. I think you can get them in the TR and the automatic, but it's still just the new WRX lacks character. It's fast, has all-wheel drive, and has a nice interior, but it's just not as fun. So, like I said, test drive everything. Tell me what you think, because you saw my history. I've owned a lot of different cars. I've test drove a lot of different cars. I'm really interested to hear what you think, because yeah, the VB WRX is just a letdown for me, and I will not be getting one, even though I live in Colorado. Probably should get a car with all-wheel drive, but it's not worth it to me. It's just soulless. Fiesta ST, on the other hand, what a blast to drive. So thank you for watching. And like I said, I found a car that does everything that the Fiesta does and better, and is faster than the WRX. And maybe we will see what car that is in another video. So thank you so much for watching, guys. I know this is different. Thanks for checking out the channel, the Nerd Chat. We have a podcast that celebrates all things gaming, food, and the good old days, and cars. We do talk about occasional cars in there, sports as well. So, yeah, as always, see you online. Oh, see you on the streets. The Nerd Chat is an Xbox podcast celebrating all things gaming, food, and the good old days. You can follow the show at the Nerd Chat Podcast across all social media. The show was created by Daniel Walenzik, and you can follow him at DaddyDWALLY. Co-host and producer Jose Martinez III can be found at Chipotle_Bear. Former intern, now co-host Jason Jarrett can be found at XBaconGaming. And former co-host, now returning intern, Chance Siegel can be found at BubbleBoyN7. If you'd like to find out more about the show, please visit nerdchatmedia.com. And as always, see you online.